November 29, 1970. 56 years later, she is still completely unknown.
Who was she and why?
In the cold heart of a Norwegian winter, a discovery was made that would echo through the decades. A mystery so profound, it remains a scar on the landscape of the unsolved. This is the story of a ghost who walked among us, and the violent silence she left behind.
Some secrets are never meant to be found. They are erased by fire and buried by ice. But this one refused to disappear.
Our story begins in a place the locals called Isdalen, the Valley of Death. A fitting name for the scene that was about to unfold.
November 29th, 1970. A father and his two young daughters are hiking through the remote Isdalen Valley. Amidst the desolate beauty, they smell it first, the unmistakable scent of burnt flesh. And there, wedged between the rocks, lies a woman. Her body is contorted, her front half burned beyond all recognition.
The scene itself is bizarre. Her belongings are not on her body, but arranged carefully beside it. A watch, her jewelry, an empty bottle. There are traces of petrol and a passport burned to ash. Nothing about this was an accident.
The first investigators on the scene felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Norwegian air. The placement of the objects felt deliberate, ritualistic. This was not just a body, it was a statement. But what was it trying to say?
On our clothes, the manufacturer's labels had been meticulously cut away. On the bottles, the brand names were scraped off. This was a systematic erasure of identity, an act of professional tradecraft.
The investigation moves from the desolate valley to the city of Bergen, and here, in the cold anonymity of a train station locker, the mystery will only deepen. 3 days later, a breakthrough. In the luggage department of the Bergen railway station, police find 2 suitcases. They belong to the woman from the ice. Inside is the toolkit of a phantom. Wigs of different colors. Eyeglasses with plain glass lenses, meant only for disguise. A cocktail of European currencies. And once again, every single label on her clothing has been removed. This was not a woman simply trying to be anonymous. This was a professional, trained in the art of becoming invisible, of becoming a ghost. But she, or whoever cleaned up after her, made one small mistake. On the lens of a pair of sunglasses, investigators find a single partial fingerprint. It's a match to the body in the valley. It is the only physical link between the woman who died by fire and the phantom life packed away in those suitcases.
The fingerprint confirms the suitcases are hers, and inside them, a small notepad opens a door into a labyrinth of deception that stretches across an entire continent. The coded notepad is not a diary. It's an operational log, a cold, meticulous record of removements. The letters correspond to cities and hotels, the numbers to dates. A ghost's itinerary.
Using the log and hotel registration cards from across Norway, police unearth at least 8 different names, 8 different passports, 8 different lives. She was Fenella, Claudia, Vera, Elizabeth. She moved through cities and across borders. A different person in every hotel lobby, but these were just masks. Who was the real woman? Across all her different identities, she held to one constant detail. Her nationality was Belgian. But Belgian authorities had no record of any of her names. This wasn't a mistake. It was calculated misdirection, a false trail for anyone who might come looking. And so the case shifts. This is no longer about one unidentified body. It's about espionage, secret weapons, and the deadly paranoia of the Cold War.
Declassified military records reveal a chilling correlation. Her coded travel log places her in specific Norwegian coastal towns on the exact dates that NATO was conducting top-secret trials of its new Penguin anti-ship missile. A coincidence? 3 times?
Then, a witness comes forward. A young man hiking in the Isdalen Valley days before the body was found. He saw a well-dressed woman. She looked terrified. And walking behind her were 2 grim-faced men in dark coats. He says the police told him to forget what he saw.
For decades, the case runs cold. The woman remains a ghost. But nearly 50 years later, new science offers a way to reach back through time and finally give the shadow a history.
In 2016, scientists took the only part of her that was preserved, her jawbone, and used a technique called isotope analysis. The chemical signature locked in her teeth can tell them where the water she drank as a child came from. It can give her a home. The science immediately peels back one of her most cherished lies. Her hotel forms claim she was in her late 20s. Forensics prove she was much older, likely around 45 at the time of her death. Another calculated deception. And the isotopes tell her origin story. She didn't grow up in Belgium. The chemical signature points to a childhood spent on the border of France and Germany, most likely near the city of Nuremberg, around the start of the Second World War. For the first time, a ghost has a past. We now know where she may have come from, but it brings us no closer to understanding who she was or why she had to die. The central questions remain, still echoing from that cold valley.
Was she a Cold War spy, silenced by her enemies, or perhaps by her handlers?
Was she murdered by the men in the black coats? Her death staged to look like a suicide? A bizarre ritual meant to send a terrifying message? Or, after a life lived entirely in the shadows, did she choose to end it herself? A final, desperate act from a woman who wanted only to disappear from the world.
Over 50 years later, her name remains unknown. No family has ever come forward. No government has ever claimed her. She dedicated her life to the erasure of her own identity. And in the end, the ghost of Ice Valley won.